Oh, Professor Cheddars, you're my one and only friend. Professor Cheddar, great news! According to these documents from my lawyer, I'm allowed to keep the kids one weekend every month. What the heck, Professor Cheddars? I don't know what your problem is, but until you're ready to apologize so we can start being friends again and not rivals, I'll be in the kitchen making myself a virgin margarita. Sonic Rivals, or as I like to call it, when Sonic hated all of his friends. When Sony's handheld console, the PSP, released in 2005, SEGA and Sonic Team wanted to get an exclusive game onto the new console, so they worked with Backbone Entertainment to produce Sonic Rivals, then later following up with a sequel. The game's main premise is to play as Sonic and his friends as they race and battle against each other in various zones. I have fond memories of playing this series when I was younger, my earliest being when me, my mom, and my grandpa went on a 3-day train ride from Chicago, Illinois to San Francisco, California. For some reason, I didn't have a Nintendo DS at the time, but I had my PSP and only a few PSP discs, so for 3 days on the train, I played Sonic Rivals and watched Open Season. I was going mentally insane. It wasn't until December 2023 where I got a PSP and both Sonic Rivals 1 and 2 for Christmas, so I could play and revisit these games. And now I'm here to discuss my thoughts on these two games after getting to play them again in over 15 years, starting with the first title in the series, Sonic Rivals. So, let's start with the main part of every video game, the gameplay. How is the gameplay of Sonic Rivals? Meh. Sonic Rivals is a 2D platformer that starts out with you getting to play as 4 different characters. Those characters being Sonic, Knuckles, Shadow, and Silver. The gameplay itself is your typical 2D Sonic game. You use one button to jump, homing attack, and spin dash, and use a joystick to move, duck, and roll. The spin dash doesn't add too much in terms of acceleration, and the homing attack can be iffy here and there when trying to lock onto a target. The zones and levels you play in aren't anything too unique either. You got machines that give you a little burst of speed, rails to grind on, springs to bounce on, and enemies to defeat along the way. However, what does make this game stand out from most 2D Sonic games is that you're in these levels with an opponent, and instead of you just getting from point A to point B on your own, you're actually trying to get to the end of the level before your opponent does, thus making almost every level a competitive race. To help add to the racing style of the gameplay, the game lets you homing attack and tussle your opponents to have them lose rings and slow them down. There are also these bumps and aerial rings called boost objects that you can run into, and using those can allow you to air boost, propelling you upward onto a different part of the level, or speed boost, which propels you forward quickly. Sonic Rivals uses rubber band physics in its gameplay, meaning once you're ahead, you start to run a little bit slower, and when you're behind, you pick up a little bit of speed. To help balance this out, there are items you can grab in the levels. These items are used defensively, usually leaving them on the ground when you're in first place. When in last place, these items work as projectiles that you throw forward to hit your opponent, slowing them down a bit. There are also signature move items you can grab, and each character has their own unique signature move. Sonic's is Sonic Boom, which allows him to boost forward, increasing his speed for a short period of time. Knuckles uses Hammer Punch, which paralyzes his opponent wherever they are for a while. Shadow has his iconic Chaos Control, which slows down his opponent for a brief period of time. And finally, Silver uses ESP to mess up his opponent's controls for a bit. Along with having the racing levels, there are also some boss battles that you fight in against your opponent, competing to see who can hit the boss 6 times first. Between the mechanics of spin dash and homing attack, the mediocre level designs, and the rubber band physics, the gameplay is not really the greatest when compared to previous 2D Sonic games. It's not the best 2D Sonic game ever, but also it's not the worst, since the racing aspect of the game really adds a new touch to the style of 2D Sonic's gameplay. Sometimes, when a game doesn't have the best mechanics or physics for their gameplay,
Brains, press the X button to do a light dash.
it still has a great replay value because of its story and the characters that are contained within it. So, how amazing is the story of Sonic Rivals? Meh. When I say story, I really should say stories, because all 4 of the characters have their own individual stories and conflicts. For Sonic, his story is about him trying to stop Eggman. Wow, shocker. after the Doctor uses a magical camera to trap Tails and Amy inside of pictures. When he's about to chase down Eggman to get his friends back and take them out of the pictures, he runs into Knuckles. Now remember, this is Sonic Rivals, and most of the levels involve a race against an opponent, so there needs to be a problem in order to give Sonic a reason to race against his friends. So what's the problem that arises? Sonic calls all of his friends a slowpoke. Yep, no joke. Sonic challenges everyone he runs into in a race to see who can get to Dr. Eggman first, which is just the biggest D-bag move ever. I know Sonic can be cocky, but when two of your best friends are in serious danger, and you run into an ally, you don't challenge them to a silly race. Instead, you ask them for help. You know, common sense logic. The rest of Sonic's story is just, race ya! With the other three characters until he finally gets to the end, where he defeats Eggman and saves Tails and Amy. Knuckles has almost the same problem as Sonic, but instead is trying to save the Master Emerald from being trapped inside of a picture. The dude really can't catch a break, huh? Knuckles' reasons for racing against his friends are pretty much because of anger issues. Sonic calls him slow, and Shadow pretty much calls him dumb for not being able to catch Eggman. I get it, I would be pretty upset if people said these things to me, but the reason he gets upset with Silver is because Silver does not introduce himself. Like, yeah, that's rude I guess, but that's a ridiculous reason to get mad. Hi, I'm Raptorlek. What's your name? Screw you too! Anyways, Knuckles gets to the end, defeats Eggman, and gets the Master Emerald back. For Shadow and Silver, their stories are honestly the more interesting ones. Shadow gets a mysterious call from Eggman, saying that he needs Shadow's help. Shadow runs into Eggman in person and demands answers on why Eggman gave him that call. Eggman refuses to answer, and Shadow chases after him to find out the truth of what's going on. Shadow's reasons for creating rivals sort of make sense. Shadow's typically a character that likes to work alone, and if he's trying to figure out this mystery behind Eggman, he doesn't want others getting to Eggman first, so he can figure out what's going on. Shadow later gets a call from Rouge, telling him that something isn't right about Eggman, only for her to get trapped in a picture through Eggman's camera. Later on, Shadow finds out that Eggman this whole time was actually Eggman? Nay-ga. I just have to be a little bit careful on how I say that word, because I don't know if you can tell, but I am white. Eggman, nay-ga, reveals that he's a descendant of Eggman, and that Eggman's failures made others in his time shun him, so he traveled to the past to capture Eggman and change his family's timeline for the future. But of course, Shadow defeats him, saving Rouge and the real Eggman. Rouge asks Shadow for his help on finding more of the pictures taken by the magical camera. Shadow says, nah, and the end. Silver's story is about him returning to the past to stop Eggman, nay-ga, from affecting the future and to bring him back to their time. Sonic Rivals came out almost right after Sonic 06, and I don't think the two development teams for those games talked to each other about Silver because the other characters once again don't know who Silver is. I don't know if they did that because of the ending of Sonic 06 with Elise losing her memory, but it looks like Sonic still remembered and everything that happened, meaning Silver should also have remembered everything. I don't know, all I know is that Elise sucks. Since Silver doesn't remember who the other characters are either, he tends to just ignore them, telling them to stay out of his way so he can take care of his business. Almost every interaction Silver has with another character is pretty much,
okay, bring it on! Ain't nobody got time for that!
Silver's story ends with him stopping Eggman, nay-ga, causing him to lose control of the camera and trap himself in a picture. Silver then decides to find the other pictures to help clean up the past before heading back to the future. Every story does end with the last zone being time trial races, and the other characters are there to help you get through the level by either breaking doors, throwing you further ahead, or activating fans. What the hell was that? The story plots are just okay, but unfortunately what hurts the stories the most are the cutscenes and the order of the levels you play in. The cutscenes are just images of the characters in various positions with a box of their dialogue next to them. The voice actors will also say some sort of interjection, noise, or laugh to somewhat help bring more emotion to the dialogue and story. I understand because of the console hardware and even the budget that this is the best route to go in order to help advance the story, but it still just isn't the most interesting to look at. At least there's different poses for the characters to help show their emotions. You got Sonic being his cool and cocky self, Knuckles filled with rage, Silver looking like you got a fact wrong about anime. Dude, Goku is totally my favorite character from Death Note.
Actually...
Shut up, Silver! And then you got Shadow doing this pose, which just always gives me a chuckle. He looks like a proud dad at his son's sports game. The order of the levels you play in for each story aren't all that great either, because you play in the same levels every time. In Sonic Heroes, you play the same levels in the same order for each team, but they're a bit different. Team Sonic has an average difficulty, while Team Dark has a hard difficulty. Then you got Team Chaotix who have different objectives for each level, rather than just getting to the end. In Sonic Rivals, you play the same levels, fight the same bosses, and you race against Metal Sonic in the same parts of the game. The only thing that changes are the characters you go up against, but that doesn't change up the level much. Speaking of Metal Sonic, that is who you unlock once you beat all 4 characters' stories. Even when all of the characters' stories are completed, there are still other game modes that you can play. You can race in cup circuits or complete challenges for each level. Doing these cup circuits and challenges will unlock collectible cards that showcase different characters, elements, and art from the entire Sonic franchise before Sonic Rivals release. Nice. These cards come in sets of 3, and completing these sets will unlock alternate outfits for the characters. I am a sucker for alternate outfits in video games, so to let me unlock alternate outfits in a Sonic game is amazing. Some Sonic games have recently allowed for some sort of outfit change, but Sonic Rivals was one of the first few Sonic games to actually implement a feature like this and to offer a good variety. Every character has a leather racing suit along with having their own unique outfits. Sonic has this really cool ice outfit. Get it? Knuckles has an outfit where he puts on Eggman's clothes. Silver has a lightning outfit. No, not that lightning. That lightning. And Shadow has this groovy 80s outfit because who doesn't love the 80s? You had rock stars with big hair, Bill Gates and Microsoft releasing Windows, giant space stations filled with dangerous science experiments and information being abandoned in the emptiness of space after soldiers broke into them and shot a little girl to death. And Metal Sonic has this bright and colorful jester outfit. Overall, Sonic Rivals is a game with a great concept, cool collectibles, and awesome alternative outfits for you to unlock, but also has not so great mechanics and physics, subpar stories, and repetitive levels and bosses. However, the game sold decently well, and that allowed SEGA, Sonic Team, and Backbone Entertainment to release a sequel a year later, Sonic Rivals 2. And here's something you maybe didn't know. Did you know they hired Gordon Ramsay to help with the production of the game? Take a look!
Alright, here's how you make a perfect Sonic Rivals sequel. You take the original game, sprinkle some garlic on top, then cook it on a medium heat. Once fully cooked, pour a white wine sauce over it, and there you have it, a perfect Sonic Rivals.
Seriously though, talk about improving and creating a much better sequel. For starters, they added 3 new playable characters, forming partnerships for the story mode. Tails joins Sonic's side, creating the dynamic duo as they attempt to save the world. Rouge teams up with Knuckles. These two have been longtime rivals, but have a shared interest in treasure hunting and finding the emeralds together this time around. Eggman uses Metal Sonic to communicate and work with Shadow as he needs his help once again to stop a familiar foe. And Espio cooperates with Silver. Because why not? Along with adding more characters, they also added new battle modes, such as Knockout, which is a fighting mode, Ring Battle, which is to grab more rings than your opponent before the timer runs out, Capture the Chow, which is similar to Capture the Flag, Tag, King of the Hill, and Laps Race. The gameplay, along with the levels, are also a big improvement. Personally for me, Home Attack was easier to use and lock onto opponents and other obstacles, and I found myself using Spin Dash a lot more in Rivals 2 to help me go faster when I needed it. All of the items from the first Rivals game return except for the signature move item. The signature moves are now gained through collecting rings. In Rivals 1, rings were just collected for health and to increase your final score. Rivals 2 really inspires you to grab rings as you compete against your opponent, so you can get your signature move to either help you catch up to your opponent or to help you stay in the lead since the rubber band physics slow you down when you're ahead. The improved mechanics, as well as the change to the signature moves, help the races feel more intense, despite the rubber band physics returning. For the levels, the boost objects return from Rivals 1, but Rivals 2 adds parasails and rockets to fly around on, poles and walls to climb up, barrels and pump carts to ride in, and vines and cannons to launch you to new paths.
Whee!
These new elements really add to the gameplay by giving you new ways to get ahead and move forward through the levels instead of just holding right and using the boost objects. The story mode itself even has a slight improvement. While they keep the still images with a box of dialogue, the voice actors actually read the lines out loud instead of just making a sound to go with their emotions, which helps bring a little more life into the characters.
Don't play dumb with me.
For the gameplay of the story, while you play in the same zones and levels and fight the same bosses yet again, they change it so that your objectives differ sometimes for each character. One zone for one character might be a race followed by a round of knockout, and then for another character, while still being the same zone, might be a time trial race followed by a ring battle. However, for the storylines themselves, they don't change too much when compared to Sonic Rivals 1. Sonic, with Tails, discover that Chao have been missing, and they journey through the various zones a ghost! To track down Eggman due to their suspicion of him being behind all of this. Knuckles and Rouge go looking for the Master Emerald and the Chaos Emeralds together. Shadow works with Eggman, who's communicating through Metal Sonic to try and find the emeralds as well, since Eggman knows about a powerful beast named Ifrit that Eggman... Nay? Look. I know I have to keep saying that word carefully, and now I can feel all the white jokes being typed down the bottom, so I'm gonna say this right now. No, The Big Bang Theory is not my favorite show, okay? Anyways, this beast, Ifrit, can only be brought into the world through the power of the Chaos Emeralds, so Shadow and Eggman try and find all of the emeralds to prevent that from happening. Espio is investigating the missing Chao, and Vector tells him to follow Silver since he thinks Silver is behind all of this. Espio works subtly with Silver until Silver goes, you seem chill, and tells Espio that he's collecting the Chao so that Ifrit cannot consume them and make itself stronger, which then encourages Espio to help Silver out. Every story ends with the characters going to this alternate dimension where Ifrit lives and fighting the beast, all while dealing with the character's partner who gets brainwashed by Ifrit, attacking them, or an alternate version of Metal Sonic attacking them. While a giant lizard or fire monster isn't anything new to the Sonic franchise, a giant fire dragon is definitely cooler than a magical camera. Because seriously, who's been scared of a camera? The story mode in Rivals 2 is once again nothing spectacular, but definitely improves on the issues the story mode had in Rivals 1 and makes it a more enjoyable experience. The card collection also returns in Rivals 2, and before in Rivals 1, the cards were randomly given to you after completing a level or challenge. In Rivals 2, each card has their own objective on how to collect it, and you can see the objective by clicking on the card, whether it's already been collected or not, making it easier to see what you have to do in order to fulfill your collection. And once again, you can unlock alternate outfits for each character, this time everyone getting 4 to choose from. The original 5 characters' 3 alternate outfits from Rivals 1 return with 1 more being added, like Sonic's new cheetah outfit and Knuckles' gladiator outfit. For the new characters, Rouge has a stealth outfit, Espio has a mummy outfit, and Tails has an ace pilot outfit, which they probably wouldn't have given him if they saw his piloting skills in Sonic Adventure. Something that's really unfortunate about Rivals 2 is that in order to get one of the alternate outfits for each character, you're going to need to complete a challenge in multiplayer mode, meaning you're going to need a friend who also has a PSP. I understand having multiplayer challenges because of the gameplay and idea of Sonic Rivals, but it just sucks that you can't unlock all the cards and outfits just by playing the game yourself. Also, it's really annoying because Sega really expected Sonic fans to have friends. You jerks. Overall, I think Sonic Rivals 2 is a huge improvement over Sonic Rivals 1. They improved on the gameplay and level designs, added more characters and battle modes, and fixed some of the issues involving the story mode. Is Sonic Rivals 2 an absolute incredible Sonic game? No, there's definitely better Sonic games out there, but I could definitely see myself coming back to Sonic Rivals 2 just to play something simple while I'm relaxing or on the road, whereas Sonic Rivals 1, not so much. So why did I want to talk about Sonic Rivals 1 and 2, these rather uncommon Sonic games? Which is to say how crappy Rivals 1 is and how better Rivals 2 is? Yep, that was it. See ya! No, that wasn't it. Why I want to talk about these games is because when I was replaying the Sonic Rivals series, I was looking at what these games were about. not just as regular video games, but as Sonic the Hedgehog video games. Like I said in the very beginning, Sonic Rivals is all about Sonic and his friends competing against one another in races, boss battles, and other battle modes. When I finished both of these games, there was one giant question that came to my mind. How come these ideas have never been explored again? Sonic Rivals has one of the best Sonic the Hedgehog video game concepts out there, putting Sonic and his friends in Sonic levels and zones for competitive racing and action. Actually? Shut up, Silver! Okay, but actually he brings up a good point. Yes, there are games like Team Sonic Racing that have you play as Sonic and his friends and race in various Sonic the Hedgehog zones. Okay, seriously, what is up with Silver team up with the Chaotix? Did Charmy die and they're just working with him to see if he'll be a good replacement?
Charmy the bee! Charmy the bee! Charmy the bee! Charmy the bee! Charmy the bee!
There have also been more unique takes on a racing game for Sonic, like Sonic Riders, but those racing games have you race on hoverboards or cars. Unless you got those nifty skating shoes. What I'm talking about is a racing game where you can play as Sonic and his friends and compete on foot. The funny thing is, it's not like Sonic Rivals was the first one to implement this idea into a game, and to implement it well. There was a game that came out way before Sonic Rivals that had a great on-foot racing game mode. No, not you. Yes, you. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle has a 2-player mode with a few different battle modes, one of those being racing. You compete against an opponent mostly on foot in various levels that are stripped right from the story mode, collecting rings to get power-ups so you can better beat your opponent in a race to the finish. So why is it important that we get more on-foot Sonic racing games? What's wrong with games like Team Sonic Racing and Sonic Riders? There is nothing wrong with those games, but like I said before, you play as Sonic and his friends in some sort of vehicle, something most racing games do, while in Sonic Rivals and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, you race while essentially just playing in a regular Sonic level with a regular Sonic playstyle. And that's what it comes down to the most, Sonic's playstyle. Sonic the Hedgehog gave the world a gaming experience like none other, and still does to this day. You don't have too many video game characters that run or move as fast as Sonic, or even have abilities like him, and because of Sonic's speed and abilities, the worlds he runs through are like nothing else you've played in any other video game. He has one of the most intense and unique platforming game styles ever, and to add a competitive racing mode to that style of gameplay and level design is a recipe for a true successful racing game. Sonic Rivals 2 gave us additional battle modes that weren't just racing, and once again, Sonic Rivals 2 wasn't the first to give us non-racing Sonic battles. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle also gave us treasure hunting and mech battles. Even games that came out shortly after Sonic Adventure 2 Battle implemented unique multiplayer racing and battle modes. Sonic Heroes has 2-player racing and battle modes that stand out because of its 3-in-1 character selection. Shadow the Hedgehog has a 2-player battle mode that is a third-person fighter and shooter, a playstyle that fits the gameplay of Shadow the Hedgehog story mode. But I'm not saying we need to bring guns back into Sonic games, because that wouldn't work today.
I've got eyes on the target. Copy. Going in.
Not today, mother.
So many other Sonic games later had their own take on multiplayer racing and battling, and what this did was really showcase how the other Sonic the Hedgehog characters differ from Sonic himself in terms of weapon and abilities. Tails' flight ability with his 2 tails, Knuckles' spiky gloves, Amy's Pico Hammer, Dr. Eggman's machines, Shadows' chaos control, Rouge's treasure hunting skills, Silver's ESP, Espio's ninja stealth, Vector being able to find a computer room, the list goes on and on. The Sonic the Hedgehog universe offers so many different characters, all with different abilities and attributes, and to have another game like Sonic Rivals, where you physically play as the characters and use their abilities and attributes to your advantage to win races and battles, would be incredible. You're probably wondering at this point why I want another game like Sonic Rivals, when all I could do is just go play Sonic Rivals, or go play Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for a better multiplayer experience. Why are the ideas and concepts of Sonic Rivals so special that they need to be explored again? Well, I think a game and series like Sonic Rivals needs to be explored again, simply because of the era of gaming we live in today. As different gaming consoles and PCs evolve, online gaming becomes more and more advanced. Online multiplayer gaming is arguably the most preferred type of gaming for video game players today. Games like Halo and Call of Duty were played mostly for the single-player campaign, with some multiplayer experience, but as the console's hardware improved along with the online capabilities, those games were eventually bought and played mainly for the online multiplayer experience, making the game developers focus on creating a well-developed and fun online experience first before anything. Some games today are just meant for online multiplayer gameplay. And no, I'm not saying make Sonic Among Us. What I'm saying is... create a game with your usual Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay and controls, but have a main focus of multiplayer racing and battling. Let me pop in a game where I can connect online and run in a race against another player on the rooftops of Rooftop Run. Create an online lobby with my friends from different parts of the country and see who can find 3 pieces of the Master Emerald first. Or let me just trash talk an 8-year-old while I shoot him down in the tornado. Yeah, take this, you cranny piece of crap! I know there have been Sonic games recently with an online multiplayer mode, such as Team Sonic Racing or Sonic Superstars, but those games don't have the best online experience, since those games are not made with the intention of online multiplayer being its main focus, or just restrict who you play as. In Sonic Superstars, you play as robots which you can customize. That's a cool idea, but what if I just want to play as Sonic or Knuckles? And for Team Sonic Racing, sometimes you can't even pick your own character. The first time I tried Team Sonic Racing online, the game gave me Zavok to play as, and I just turned off my Switch and I never played that game again. Yes, that actually happened. I didn't even make that up just to create a joke. SEGA and Sonic Team have created different multiplayer experiences and games throughout the Sonic series, and I believe they could take inspiration from these games and create something great. They could look at what multiplayer modes worked and build off of them. Look at the games with multiplayer modes that maybe weren't the best and figure out what went wrong and improve on them. And then take every idea and piece of knowledge about Sonic Freeriders and get a lobotomy. After that, start developing a game with a main purpose of competitive and cooperative multiplayer gameplay. Don't get me wrong, a game like this can still have an offline single-player experience, but I think if SEGA and Sonic Team were to create a Sonic game mainly focusing on online multiplayer gameplay, the game could do wonders for the Sonic fanbase. Sonic fans are some of the most committed people I know. We've had our fair share of ups and downs, but we still play these games for our favorite characters, to run through and explore various beautiful and fantastical worlds, and to experience the fun action Sonic games have to offer. For there to be a Sonic game with a great focus on local and online multiplayer gameplay, where we can play as our favorite characters, race and battle in our favorite zones and stages, with that familiar fast-paced gameplay while implementing online gaming elements like a ranking system and unlocking different types of outfits and skins, a modern day Sonic Rivals if you will, would not only create a game with replayable value, but would create a game with different experiences each time you play it, while having the one experience we all know and love. So, if SEGA and Sonic Team were to create this massive online multiplayer Sonic game, what specific elements or game types would you like to see implemented into the game? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. One time Sonic played tennis with his friends. I would love to see tennis return. Shut up, Silver. Okay, you know what's garbage? I have spent weeks writing, shooting, and editing this video about how Sega needs to create a massive multiplayer Sonic game, and then shortly before I'm about to post a video, Sega goes, "Oh yeah, here's Sonic Rumble, a first in the Sonic series, 32-player Battle Royale challenge, racing against each other, customization." I know it's not the exact kind of game I was talking about, since I want something more like Sonic Rivals or Sonic Adventures 2 Battle, but still. Come on, Sega.